Alright, so there's some obvious things that are worth reviewing, but this lovely little keychain here is kind of like my utility keychain, and it has everything on it that you're going to need for renting the camper, and opening it for that matter. So the most important thing is I do use a master lock for securing the hitch. So it is the gold key right here that we're seeing. So you're simply going to use that for securing it and towing safely, which I'm sure you know all about. And that releases that, simple as that. And I usually just leave this right up here on top of the propane cover, so I know exactly where to find it. So let's back this truck up and get her hitched and pull out onto the driveway. Alright, now that we've got the truck backed up, let's go ahead and use the tongue jack to drop her down. I know this is all pretty straightforward stuff, but who knows who might be borrowing the camper in the future and might need to review this information. So lefty loosey brings her down, and believe me, you do not want to have to lift this tongue weight on your own. So do not assume that you can fix a mistake by lifting this tongue. It would take 4 to 5 grown men to lift this thing. So just make sure that it's on there and that it's sitting snug is the important thing. As we can see, we don't want any gap there. We need that to be nice and secure on top of it. So let's finish dropping that down. Get the wheel up off the ground. Alright, so I just wanted to get it out in the daylight, so it was just a wee bit easier to see everything. Get it out of the garage now. So anyway, this is kind of where we left off. Obviously, if we were towing, we'd be locking all this in and securing this with the padlock. If this gives you any trouble when you're re-securing, simply drop it on, pull forward and lurch it, and then this will go down. So if this is stubborn and doesn't want to go down, just pull forward and jerk and with the brake, and it will go down for you. And then obviously I am a big fan of making sure that you cross your chains under here. So do cross the chains. Heavens forbid anything ever happened. Struggling to get that one hooked under there. Mostly because I'm holding a camera, obviously. There you go. So lock that in, and hopefully your tow vehicle will have all the proper connections. Mine is awfully easy because I have my connections right here. So this comes standard with the 9-pin, and you can, at least in my vehicle, you can charge the refrigerator while you're driving through that connection. And last but not least, very important, this carabiner is for the emergency brake system on the camper. So I simply secure that down there also right next to the chains. And then while I'm towing, I do not leave this on. I don't believe this leaves enough ground clearance while you're towing. So I do remove that and put the pin in, of course, and then I store it inside this box for traveling. So you're probably going to find it down here in that corner, where the ball is going to be hiding at. Alright, so from there we are going to go ahead and unhitch, and you'll discover that I keep a lot of scrap wood inside of the camper, and that is for building jacks, like, you know, for the tongue jack. That's for creating a platform for the tongue jack. And then for also I try to put a piece of wood underneath of every stabilizer to make the camper itself more stable, but to also protect the ground that I'm putting it on, you know, just out of respect for campgrounds. So we'll take a look at that in 1 minute here. Alright, so we're back. So at this point I did get the truck separated, and you'll notice that I even have this very convenient wheel tray that does make it great for setting up with. So I did choose to use that for this particular setup. Sometimes the slope of a campsite though will be too great for that wheelbase, And that's when in some situations you will need to use a lot of these bricks that I have in the camper storage for creating platforms. From there, I've mentioned that a power drill makes the setup incredibly easy. You will want to have a 3/4 inch socket with the adapter to make that work, but that will be inside of the camper for you, of course. And then from there, as I've mentioned, you do want to usually have a board of just some sort laid out under here, under the jack, to give you the proper support and to protect the ground from the jacks. And from there, simply stick that screw right on there and drop those jacks down. And that's going to make a big difference for stabilizing everything. So that is how you bring down the jacks. And I didn't do a good job of centering it just for this demo, but please make sure that you do center that board under the jack to avoid anything flipping out from under the jack. Alright, so let's get to some of the fun stuff. So let's just assume that you've gotten all these jacks down. You don't have to per se do the jacks before you get the roof up, but it's not a bad idea. And it would just stabilize everything. Make sure you have your blocks in place though long before you start playing with everything. Make sure you have those yellow blocks in front and behind if needed. My driveway is on a slope, so I only need them in front, but most campgrounds you may need them in the front and in the back. From there, let's raise the roof on this thing. So it really couldn't be any easier. These right here are normally going to be latched, of course. So this is how they operate. So that is locked and latched. So unlock them, you flip the first one down, and then that allows the second one to flip loose. Pretty simple. Same thing on the other side. I've already undone it, but you do the same thing over here. Sometimes I have a padlock on this. I currently do not, so you're not missing a padlock on this side if you feel like that's missing. And then from there is really where the magic happens, because all you're going to do is simply push up right here on this lever, and that's going to bring everything up for you. Alright, so I left off with how we were going to raise the roof. Had to get out my tripod so you could actually watch me do it. But you grab this handle right here. It's kind of a one-man operation. Get under this and then just push upwards. And then move your hand here. And there you go. When they say raising the roof, that must have been what they were referring to. Hardy hard. Assuming that we've gotten our stabilizers down, then we're going to walk up here, and this is your safety bar for entering the vehicle. All you have to do is just lift up and turn it. That's it. Bring your stairs out. The stairs are usually not very stubborn coming out, but they can be stubborn going in, so just be patient with them. You'll get it figured out. And then door opens up. You're going to step up onto these stairs, and you're going to flip this open to here. And then you're going to step up inside of this frame, okay? So you're standing right here. And at this point, if I can set this down really quick. So at this point, hopefully you can see this, but you're going to bring the door back up to you, like almost have it right here. And you're going to pull this wall up. And you want to have that door at that angle to avoid hitting the roof. And then swing the bottom door in, close it. And now your wall is in place. And then from there, this couldn't be any easier. Clamp and clamp. All right, couldn't be any easier. This wall is even easier. Simply put your hand under it, lift up, voila. Now it's up. Lock that one, lock this one, boom sauce, just like that. Come back over to your door, swing the top of it into the bottom, And this latch has never matched up correctly, so just be careful with it. You're not gonna break it, but also, you know, don't be rough on it. But simply hook those and latch it, and that secures the top of the door to the bottom of the door. So while I'm working on things, I can even leave this open by securing the door right here behind it. You can see how that drops right in. Boom, just simple as that. You can ignore these black dots. These are for my iPad, which I have magnet mounts on the back of. You do have outlets here on the outside of the camper. This is your kitchen rail. So simply open this up, and the grill is inside of this bag right here. So this grill does attach to the outside of the camper. The one thing I will say is please, please, please make sure this window is shut when you're using the grill. Otherwise, all that heat and food smell is gonna go right up from the grill and inside of the camper. And then there's a lot of obvious pieces in here, but reach inside the storage unit. And if you feel around in there, you'll feel a big black duffel bag. That is my extra my extra tent that I carry around with me in case of guest use. So if your kiddos need to use anything, there is a really nice 6-person tent in there. So this is your cutting board / kitchen counter. Don't be afraid to wipe it off. It has a bracket on the bottom side to hold the weight. Pretty straightforward. Really can't break it, to say the least. And I don't think this is per se tricky at all. But one last thing we're showing is how the grill hooks up. So you got this little thing right here. Shake it open like this, and then hook it over the top of the rail, drop it into place. So that is how you hold the grill on there, okay? So I'm not gonna bother opening the grill up all the way because I really feel like it's straightforward. But these cords just wrap around the grill to hold it in place, and then they pop right into those holes to secure it. Your LP line is right there. It pulls out. Make sure that you turn this for LP to run through it. That's closed. This is open. Pretty straightforward. So keep that closed. That hides inside there. And I think that's the important stuff on this side of the camper. Speaking of LP, obviously LP is not going to work at all without the tanks being open. I seriously doubt you'll be running out of LP on this trip. It's more of something that would happen in the winter time when you're using the furnace. But simply pop this off. Here's your LP tanks, pretty straightforward. And make sure this is on, obviously. Boom. And then you can see that this arrow is pointed to the left. So that's the primary tank that I'm using right now. So you just simply would open it up and then you'd have LP. Doesn't get much easier than that. So the only thing I can really anticipate you using the LP for is maybe like the water heater and the outdoor shower and the grill. I seriously doubt you're gonna need the furnace, but no, depending on the location, you might need the furnace, and you have to have the LP turned on for the furnace to work. All right, so there are some important things on the side of the camper worth reviewing. I don't think you're gonna need this, but this is the 20-gallon reservoir right here. So this just opens up and it takes a garden hose, just as simple as putting the garden hose in. It takes 20 gallons of water, and the tank is under here and it's currently open. So if you use it, you have to crawl under behind this tire and close the tank so the water doesn't drain out. It's very straightforward. You'll see the water drain. If you use the interior sink, this is the sink drain. So you unscrew this. I have a short hose in the front storage unit that you attach to this to drain water from the sink. Please use that hose, otherwise you're going to discolor the outside of the camper from dripping water. Pretty straightforward. I do not use the indoor sink often, so I mean, you can use it if you need to, but it's not really a big deal. And then from there, this is where the city connection goes in. So I feel like this does get used pretty regularly. So this is if you want running water into the inside of the camper. That'd be for the shower, the hose, the sink. That is where the city line comes in. And there's another hose up there for that. As I mentioned, I kind of doubt you're going to use most of this stuff. This is even the hot, cold outdoor shower right here. I just don't anticipate you using it. Most campgrounds have shower facilities, so keep it simple and use their facilities. But this is what I do expect you to use. So this panel right here pops off, and actually I should show you from the beginning because I have this locked when you're traveling. So use the utility keys and just pick any of these smaller round keys and use the head of it to unlock this cabinet. Okay, so these lockers are normally horizontal. When they're locked, you turn them vertical to unlock them. So please be careful with them, they're plastic. And you turn them vertical and then pull and it pops right out. And you're gonna turn on the refrigerator right here. So 12 volts is if you wanna charge it while you're driving and keep things somewhat cold. Once you have shore power, you then turn 12 volt off and you turn on the 120, and that will really keep things cold. It's very straightforward. I don't think it's complicated at all. Just remember 120 is if you have shore power, 12 volts is if you're charging the battery off of your car. Straightforward. If you need to wash the kiddos off at all from beach or mud or anything like that, you can use the outdoor shower, or there is a hose inside of here. You won't need to get inside of this at all. This is the water heater. There's no reason you need to open this for any reason. The water heater ignites from the inside. All right, so let's talk power supply. So this is the biggest, baddest surge protector you've ever seen in your life. This is the fail-safe for the camper. I think it was like $300, but it protects everything from blowing out from a bad power source. So this is what you plug into the shore power. This plugs into shore power. So you'll see the pole. You're gonna plug this into it. It's gonna hang off the pole. Simple as that. You are then going to take this end of the power cord, and with the handle on it, and that plugs right into it. Simple as that, okay? So remember that this is what goes into the pole at the campground. Straightforward, right? Plug that in first. Grab the other end of this, and I have an extension cord, extra length if you need it. Most campgrounds, you'll never need that extra length, but it is in the front storage unit if you need it. Take this, flip this cap open, line up the prongs, plug it in, and then spin the gray down to tighten it on. So you don't have to worry about it coming loose. And now you have power that will run air conditioning and everything else. Simple as that. It's worth mentioning, I probably wouldn't use the microwave at this time. It's a bit of a mess in there. I've never used it. It's always been for storage. I probably just wouldn't use it. So that is how you use the power. So the inside of the camper is pretty endless features, to say the least. You know, there's the refrigerator. Make sure that you have this latched shut like it is right now while you're traveling. Very straightforward, but make sure this is latched because otherwise everything's gonna come out and make a huge mess. Over here though, you have sound system, which does run outdoor speaker also. These don't do much right now due to the fact that they just need bulbs in their counterparts. This USB, the fuse is out on it. So I'm sorry, but that USB charging is not working currently. This is just a night light. So if you look over there, night light, that's all that is. But this is really your bread and butter right here. So fan is just what it sounds like, fan. Cool is the air conditioning. It's only gonna work if you're plugged into something. Furnace is only gonna work if you have LP turned on. And heat pump is a heating solution that will work above 40 degrees. So keep that in mind. If you're like, oh, it's 50 outside, it's cold, and we need it to be a little bit warmer inside, all you need to do is turn on the heat pump. You don't need the furnace unless it's colder than 40 degrees. Make sense? From there, you do not need to turn on the water pump if you have city water, okay? The water pump is only needed if you're pumping water out of your own reservoir. If you're connected to city water, you do not need the water pump. The water pressure alone will be enough. Down here, that black switch next to the red light, that is how you turn on the water heater. It takes probably a good 10 minutes for a tank to heat up, so be patient with it. Hot water will come out when it's ready. The oven top absolutely works in here. Once again, LP tanks need to be open. You can flip this open, bada bing, bada boom. You can light it, you know, but don't be afraid to do all your cooking outside, because otherwise the inside of this camper is going to smell pretty bad. So I mean, don't be afraid to cook outside. Your other best friends that you're going to have in here. Here's your LED lights, off, on. Going to be more straightforward. There's another one over there. There is a garment hanger right here for hanging clothes on. This is the best thing ever. This is the ceiling fan. Simply unlock it and then turn this knob up here. This will open it up and then turn on your fan. And now it'll draw air through the whole camper, venting the camper. It's a great solution for keeping fresh air in here. I do have charging outlets down there. Like I said, I really just would not use the microwave. It's just not very clean in there. I wouldn't use it. And if you're really getting cold and you want to spoil yourself, yes, this is a heated mattress. All you have to do is plug it in and this mattress will be heated.